Okay, here are 5 keys for Rutgers football to reach a double-digit win season in the expanded Big Ten. Let's get to it. Okay, here are 5 keys for Rutgers football to reach a double-digit win season in the expanded Big Ten. Let's get to it. Okay, so there's a lot of national media buzz and amongst the podcasting community that Rutgers is that underdog to watch out for that could potentially reach a double-digit win and gasp, yes, have college football playoff aspirations as well as a Big Ten championship. And all that starts with the number one thing. We all know what that is, and that's our quarterback play / passing game. We haven't had a 2,000-yard passer since, yes, Chris Laviano and that famous 4th down spike sitting in section 124. When we saw that play develop, we were like, no, don't do it. And yeah, he did. Nonetheless, with Ethan Kalikimanis stepping into the signal calling role this year, a lot of people kind of dogging him. His completion percentage was about 53% last year. PFF destroyed him on his pressure rate. His efficiency while under pressure, 38.9%. I'm a little higher on Ethan Kalikimanis than some might be. I think he can make those passes to extend the first down markers and continue and finish off drives and series a little better than Gavin, because Gavin's ball placement obviously was not the best. But nonetheless, if Ethan can gasp, hit a screen pass, that's amazing to me how, and just watching us from the stands and praying for a screen pass that we virtually almost never do. Hopefully that's more of the repertoire, that short passing game, managing the game to move the sticks and move the ball downfield to help us finish drives. Now, Ethan will have to be a big part of that, throwing a more accurate ball with good ball placement. He can throw it deep. He can throw it deep with accuracy. He had 1,800 plus yards passing last year. 53.3%, 6.3 yards per pass average, and his rating was about 118. The rushing aspect of the quarterback for Rutgers will change this year. Now, Ethan, believe it or not, in 2022 averaged over 4 yards a carry. He had 34 carries, 140 yards, over 4 yards per carry. 2023, not a great year, took a step back in a new offense, 74 rushes for only 94 yards, 1.3 average. But if you look at Gavin, who rushed for just under 500 yards last year, 497 yards, he had 131 carries, 497 yards, a 3.8 average. But in 2022, he was like Ethan Kalikimanis last year. He only had 40 carries, 63 yards, and a 1.6 average. So Gavin took the next step in an offense that he became more comfortable with. And with Ethan in his second year in this offense, should be able to step up his rushing game. And if he gets 300, 350 yards, which I absolutely think is doable, he's going to give us a dual threat quarterback that keeps defenses honest. And as I've stated, moving the sticks. Third and 1 and 2, 4th and 1 and 2. We don't always have to do the predictable play call, running the ball when we can throw a short pass, a quick out, maybe surprise somebody deep. I think that part of our arsenal, our play calling, should absolutely help us finish some games. We saw last year, there were games in the second half, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan. If we didn't turn the ball over at the quarterback position, leading in the second half against Big Ten powerhouses, and we could have finished those drives without some crazy bounces, crazy pass, and poor decision-making on the pass, it might have been a vastly different season last year. Hopefully we can have that season this year, but it's going to depend a lot on the passing game. Please, 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 can we work screen passes into our arsenal? It's getting really frustrating. We know what's coming on 3rd and 2 and 4th and 1, but if we can somehow on those down and distance where there's not a lot of yards to go, we can hit a screen pass and actually complete one and throw that screen accurately. That would be awesome. We saw against Ohio State last year that the defense was hot, and they were after Ohio State. We were having a really good series, and then on 3rd down, screen pass to Trayvon Henderson takes it all the way down the field, and that was the backbreaker to turn the momentum for good in that game. Need to complete some screen passes. Quarterback position, extremely important. Manage the game. High completion percentage. Let's get a little bit of scrambling ability and first downs from Ethan, and we should be pretty well set. That's key number 1. Along with that, wide receiver production. Our wide receiver production has not been great. No secret to anybody. It's been bad probably past 10 years. Leonte Carroo was the last Rutgers wide receiver to get 1,000 yards. Christian Jermo, Mr. Reliability in the slot. He had, what do you have? 468 yards, 36 catches. We're going to need to step up some production out of your top wide receivers. And that comes to the number 1 guy, and that's Daimir. He's going to be the X factor. You all know at Monmouth, he was absolutely game breaker. 1,300 yards, 333 single game record. By the way, Miles Austin also went to Monmouth, so there's a pretty good comp there for Daimir. The fact that the coaching staff is saying that he's better in person than on film, I'm kind of jacked up about this. If Daimir can be that guy, he will need to be that number 1 breakout wide receiver that when it's 3rd, 6th, and 7, 8, or even 3rd and long, he's going to be that guy that's going to have separation and be able to make a big play. That's something we haven't had in 10 years. So Daimir can be special. Let's hope he is the number 1 aspect of our wide receiver room being much more productive. Christian Jermo, if he can be Mr. Reliable on 3rd down when the coverage is good and he can get in the slot underneath and break something across field and downfield, that would be great. Nassim Brantley. We all know how he kind of got hosed with the NCAA. Nonetheless, I feel that he can be number 1B wide receiver this year that can be a breakout / kind of up our productivity game. Reminds me a lot of Jaquay Jackson. You know, maybe just a little bit smaller. Jaquay was like 6'2", 210. I think Nassim is 6'2", 210. Jaquay Jackson, 6'1", 190. He had 23 catches, 361 yards, and he was a big play guy for us, over 16 yards per catch. Nassim absolutely has that potential and has had 17 plus yards per catch. So if he can be 1B to Daimir Miller's 1A in big play receivers, doesn't have to catch a huge volume, but if he can get like 30 to 40 plus catches, averaging 16 plus yards, 17 plus yards, that's going to be a huge plus for us. Really rooting for him. He kind of got hosed. And let's hope our 1-2 punch there, along with Dremel, provides enough productivity and spark out of the offense where we don't have to become really predictable in the running game. So we have some seniors that bring some experience and some productivity with them. And then behind them, Chris Long. You know, we know with Chris, he's rebounding from some injuries last year. He has shown some flashes and some potential, but he's got to stay healthy, which is another thing about the team overall that I'll address later on. Ian Strong flashed last year that a spectacular TD against Northwestern. 16 catches, 230 yards. You know, he missed some time, but if he, along with kind of another surprise in camp that's opening some eyes, and that's Ben Black. He could be the fastest guy on Rutgers' football team if they can come up with situational football and put him in positions, special packages, sort of like the Jets are doing now with Malachi Corley, lining him up in different positions to exploit one-on-one matchups. That can be a surprise guy and an added element to the offense, which can help bring us to the next level. And they all don't have to be game-busting plays, but if you get guys that can get chunky yardage at the wide receiver position, which we haven't had in forever, this could be a huge upswing for Rutgers on offense-centered wide receivers. And, you know, the other one who's kind of been, who turned eyes a little bit there in the spring is KJ Duff. He, you know, tight end, wide receiver, he can provide a matchup nightmare as a taller wide receiver that's more like a tight end against defensive backs that don't have the size and athleticism to stay with him. And you could also take him and line him up in different positions. Wide receiver, a pass-catching tight end. So the young guys providing the depth and athleticism and the potential for the future, working them in with some of the seniors who are hopefully provide productivity for us. Wide receiver production, really important, especially against the high-flying new Big Ten teams. We'll see if we can keep pace with the USCs and the Washingtons of the world. O-line, pleasant surprise last year. That's been a problem for us forever. And these guys really came together last year and did a great job. Ranked 11th in the nation in the least amount of sacks. Boy, that's a vast improvement over previous years when even when, you know, I think we were giving up 25, 26, 27 sacks, which isn't horrendous, but it's not good at all. But at the same time, even when we weren't getting sacked, quarterbacks were running for their lives. It was just like every down they were running for their lives. This offensive line, their consistency, bringing that forward into this year is going to be really important. I think they can match up well against the new Big Ten teams. But, you know, Pac-12, not particularly physical. Oregon, yes, they have some athletes on defense. Nonetheless, Holland Pierce left tackle, all Big Ten. He's a great story. We all know his deal. Brian Filter at left guard. He's well experienced, all Big Ten honorable mention. I think that side is pretty well set, as is probably the guy that's the most, I don't know if I want to say underrated or underappreciated, Gus Zielinski at center. Also honorable mention, all Big Ten. So I think from the center left is pretty well set. I'm comfortable with that. I'm sure Coach Shiano is comfortable with that. When we get to the right side, not that there's question marks. It's going to be a matter of how we fit the pieces. So Kwabena Asamoah, he is going to be in the rotation. He had 5 starts last year. He's got 3 years of eligibility left, so there's no big rush to get him in as a starter. You can rotate him with another great story. That great story that is Reggie Sutton. So maybe there's sort of a rotational thing going on with those guys, along with at right tackle, Tyler Needham, who missed a lot of, he was a potential future star, got hurt, missed most of the season, rotating with a guy that's probably going to get, as a transfer from Ohio, Shedrick Rhodes with the best dance moves ever of a tackle. Love that guy. This is going to be a tough one. And I think the sensible thing is to start Shedrick Rhodes. You can work Tyler Needham in during the season, getting some reps, rotating these guys in and out, keeping them fresh, preventing injury. And maybe this is a good thing where you expand the rotation. You know, like in the NBA, you go in 8 deep. Maybe we go deep with our rotation not just on the right side, but plugging guys in. Reggie Sutton up and down the line, Asamoah up and down the line, and maybe that gives you some added flexibility that you really didn't have in the past because you didn't have, you had too many injuries and you didn't have the depth. So offensive line consistency, extremely important. Staying healthy, extremely, very, very, very important. Okay, the defense. We know how our defense is terrific. They've done a really good job. Pass defense especially. We were ranked, I believe, number 16 in defense last year, which is an outstanding job, but only 109th in sacks. Like we had 21 total sacks. We're getting pressure on. We're not getting the guys to the ground, and that can be frustrating. But if you're on defense and you're wrapped around the guy's ankles, is able to get the ball off, throws it up there, and I think this might have happened against Virginia Tech last year. You throw the ball up, guy makes the catch, and it's a big gain. Getting quarterback to the ground is going to be extremely, extremely important. The other thing along with that is getting the turnover and turning momentum in the game. That's going to be a big part of not just bending but not breaking, not just playing overall good defense, but making those plays, whether it's with pressure or with turnovers, that can turn a game on a dime, just like that. No big secret. We need to get to the quarterback. Mohamed Toure had 4.5 sacks last year. Tyrone Powell had 2. Got to try to always avoid blitzing because that leaves you vulnerable in the secondary. Max Milton not there this year. It'll be interesting to see how the secondary responds from that way, but I got to be honest, sitting in section 124 last year, I saw Max Milton get beat more than you would like to see out of him early on. I was kind of wondering, all right, what's going on here? It wasn't until after the season ended that Coach Shiano let us know that he had a broken hand, so that kind of explained it. He did get better. Max got much better as the year went on. So, those subpar games in the beginning were kind of a memory, but nonetheless, Wesley Bailey, Aaron Lewis, Mohamed Toure, these guys could be the monsters of the Midway. These guys can, if everything comes together, their experience, their relationships, and their talent comes together, and these guys can absolutely cause a lot of damage. They need to finish their plays, get to the quarterback, get to the tackles, get the turnovers. Tyrone Powell led the team in tackles before he got hurt last year. I think he had 3 sacks. Missed only, PFF, I think said he only missed 3 tackles. So the front line, the front 4 guys trying to get on pressure that way, they're going to have to get there this year because I think we're going to be doing less blitzes. And Robert Longerbeam, who, along with Flip Dixon, is going to be back there. These guys, Robert Longerbeam is going to have to be the guy this year. He was only one of 2 guys in the Big Ten to have more than 10 pass breakups last year. I think he had 11. And he had 45 tackles, something along those lines. If he can continue to make improvement and be the guy, that's going to be a plus for us. So, point number 4, defensive line has to get pressure, finish the play. Secondaries going to have to turn the ball over a little more, and we should be able to fare pretty well against those new Big Ten offenses. Number 5, and this is something that a lot of people really aren't talking about, but it's something we've been missing. And special teams. It's not our kicking game or punting game or our ability to block kicks, but the return game. One of the things that frustrated the heck out of me last year is the amount of, how Coach Shiano took advantage of the fair catch rule. every time. It's like just sitting in the stands, can we please return a kick? But that fair catch rule allowed us to have the highest return yardage in the NCAA last year. We didn't take many chances on returning a kick. Wherever the kick went, that's where we made the fair catch. I miss the days of Janarian Grant. You guys remember him. Every time he went back there, he had the potential to break one, and you were on the edge of your seat every time he received the ball. Unfortunately, a big return against Iowa, that tackle at the end kind of slowed things down for him. But having a guy like that, especially with new rules and everything, and a pretty good special teams overall, having a big return guy, Christian Dremel is, there isn't an obvious choice right now, but Christian Dremel will be the Mr. Reliability. Be nice to have a game-breaking guy back there. So special teams. Now some honorable mentions. Breakout stars. Who's going to be those guys? Young guys. Or maybe not in the case of Daimir Miller. That break out and like, okay, we got something here. They're making plays and they're putting the opposition defense back on their heels. And if we can get Ben Black, KJ Duff, and Daimir Miller in one-on-one matchups to exploit that defense and make plays, this will be an aspect of an offense we haven't had in 10 years. So breakout guys with huge upside who have had pretty good camps, who are opening some eyes and turning some heads. If they can make some plays, not just to play here, play there, but they have to be accounted for on defense. That's going to also help how productive we are on offense. And not just on offense, though, but on defense. We have a couple 4-stars in the secondary, a couple young guys, Kyle Sanders out of Burn Catholic, Antonio White out of Georgia. These are speedy, athletic guys, ball hawking ability. They're actually kind of physical. They can tackle as well. If you can get those guys in there to provide some speed and athleticism, the guys that you have to now account for in defense that you're not really aware of yet because you're not in Rutgers camp. But if these guys can make plays on defense, get that turnover, those guys that can ball hawk and have speed and athleticism and intercept the pass, return it into opposition territory, that would also take the pressure off the offense to have to always run the ball, have to extend series, extend drives. If we have a little more balance between our ability to turn the ball over and our ability to now not have so much pressure on the offense, you have to get a first down here. It's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2. We have to make a play here or we're toast. If we can get some turnovers from young, athletic, breakout stars, that will also help us. And that would put us on the path towards towards a potential Big Ten and or college football playoff 10-win plus season. There you have it, everybody. Here are some things that are noteworthy that aren't necessarily earth-shattering, but if we could do some of these things out of each of the categories, we're not just that 6-6 team that PFF thinks that we are. We're absolutely, positively can be a 10-win team, especially if we're able to exploit some of those matchups on offense that we didn't have last year, against Wisconsin, or be able to make some plays against a sort of middling but improving Nebraska team. That can be the big difference. Everybody enjoy your week, and we will see you the next time.